Okay, so I'm reading an article right now in USA Today about long-term unemployment. Okay, and they're defining long-term unemployment as 6 months or more of unemployment. And they're saying that 1.7 million Americans are considered to be long-term unemployed. And that's 25% of the total unemployment population. So now 25% of unemployed people are considered long-term unemployed.
All right, guys, thank you for checking out this video. I want to dive heavy into the job market right now because it is insane, you guys. I got a few videos I want to showcase you and really dive heavy into how terrible the job market is right now. I really think we're really seeing like the side effects and sort of just like the trickling down from COVID, because during COVID era, right, everyone was making all sorts of money. Now, no one can find a job. So I want to bring this to people's attention, especially boomers. I've seen a lot of videos where, you know, boomers are stressing their children. When I say children, they're actually grown, but they're children, about finding a job. But there seems to be a disconnect between the boomers and the Gen Zs and even some of the millennials when it comes to the job market right now. It's just the disconnect, the generations, but I want to emphasize and really hammer in on this point and show you guys a few videos.
It's not a surprise that you can't find a job. I'm trying to tell you right now, this is the beginning of the artificial intelligence, let's just call it nosedive. Entry-level jobs are disappearing all over the place. People who just graduated, I know you guys are struggling to find a job. That's not going to stop. I want to be pretty honest with you. What you're experiencing is the beginning of the artificial intelligence wave of destruction. Even the CEO of Anthropic had to admit that in an interview with Axios. Go read that article. It's available now. They talked about it on Morning Joe on the news. So if they talked about it on the news with the old timers, what do you think about the seriousness of this situation? People are asking all the time, what should you do? Here's my honest answer. Focus on people-based experiences. Learn how to start building stuff with your hands. The artificial intelligence wave is here.
This is very true. Just the other day in my other video, I was talking about how I was watching this YouTube video in China, right? And they had AI robots that were policemen. And they were talking about how they're going to eventually have groups of these AI robots that were policemen. It looked really cool, to be honest. But I'm like, so these are literally jobs being removed from people. This is very serious. And you're going to see more and more of it as time unfolds, especially, you know, if you're in the West where they're already having robots for, you know, even sexual things. But people are losing their jobs. The other day I seen, and somebody could fact check me on this, that the CEO of Indeed was fired partially because of AI. But Indeed seems to be extremely useless because people aren't, you know, getting jobs. I'm going to try and offer some solutions after I show you these next few videos.
I got to show y'all how crazy the job market is right now. You're not going to believe this. So I'm applying for this job. All I did was go to the page where it asks you like your contact information. So I just finished that. I'm gonna cover up the company name because I don't want to get in trouble. But like, I'm still filling out the actual job application. And I still have a lot to go through right now, right? In the middle of me doing the job application, I get an email that says that we're considering other candidates. But I haven't even finished the job application.
And this is becoming normal, unfortunately. Even when I look through the comments, I'm seeing tons of people who like, when it comes to the hiring process, some of these jobs take 2, 3, 4+ months to even tell you no, right? They have you go through these long processes of, you know, making these projects and filling out all, like, they essentially, from what I see and from the things that I've seen, you know, across the comments, is the consensus seems to be, oh my gosh, that a lot of these companies want you to do these projects for them while they're either not going to hire you in the first place. They just want to sort of take the information that you are presenting to them, then use it for themselves, or they already have somebody in mind that they want to hire, but they still want you to do your sample or your project so that they can get that information from you. Very, very lame. Very, very unfortunate. I don't know why companies do this. I don't see how people can do this to other people, especially when people actually need jobs and people need money. You know, we're seeing these people fresh out of college with degrees who can't even find a job. I've seen 2 videos alone from just last month. It was a Yale student, and just recently, last week, I seen another Yale student. complaining about how they can't find work. And I'm talking about like basic entry-level jobs like McDonald's. The other day I was going through Reddit, and this guy said he had a bachelor's and a few certifications from a few things I can't remember. But he said he couldn't even find a job at McDonald's. This is insane.
The media has been completely lying to you about the job market. I've been in recruiting for a decade, and I've literally never seen candidates struggle as much as they are in the job market right now. I'm hearing about people who are having to apply to hundreds, if not thousands of jobs. 99% of those jobs, they're not hearing anything back. It's like applying into a black hole. If they do hear it back, we're hearing about interview processes that are longer and longer. 5, 6, 7, even 8 or 9 rounds of interviews. And these interviews can last over months and months. We're hearing about an average job search that's now taking 5 to 8 months. Throughout the interview process, we're hearing about more and more assessments. I'm hearing about take-home work that is taking hours and hours and is typically unpaid. And if you're lucky enough to get to the offer stage, do not expect to get an offer for whatever you discussed in that first phone call with a recruiter. Companies are lowballing candidates because they know if you don't accept their offer, they have 3 or 4 other people that will. Welcome to the 2025 job market.
Beyond this, when you are doing these job applications, they often ask for a bunch of unnecessary things. For example, like when you put in your resume, right? They still want you to fill out your employment history, even though you've already put in your resume, which has your employment history. And the crazy part is you have to put in your employment history. So it's just, you're basically just repeating yourself for no apparent reason. It's like, why are you putting in your resume? My solutions to this problem, you may not like it, but it's just the reality of the situation. If I was a father, right, and I had kids, I don't have kids yet, but I do want to eventually. My greatest advice would be similar to what the other man said, definitely hands-on work if you can. And I know everyone's not built for that. I mean, I have one hand, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. I would say start a YouTube channel, start making content. Start sharpening on a skill which can involve your hands. Even as far as going door to door, looking, asking for if people need help with moving. And I know this might sound ridiculous, but when people hustle and people really need money, it really gets to this point. Asking people if they can clean their car, their house. I'm talking about maybe, if you're doing job applications, not only doing the job application, but actually showing up to the physical location, pretty much demanding for an interview if you can. You have to start thinking outside of the box, stretching your imagination, figuring out ways to get money in any way, shape, or form, networking, things like that. And I know that might not sound like much, but if you're someone who's struggling, you're going to have to figure something out, right? Because you have to have money. I mean, everyone needs money because people need to eat. And I understand that people have families. So they're going to do whatever it is they need to do to provide for their family. And I understand that completely. But I just really wanted to highlight this job situation right now because I see that there's a really huge disconnect between boomers and even some millennials and Gen Zs about what's going on right now. Mainly because boomers have their jobs, right? They're locked in on their jobs. And they think because they have their jobs and they're making their money that they know how to talk to a boomer or a Gen Z when it comes to getting a job, even though the job landscape is completely different. And most of them are way out of touch. So I really wanted to highlight this. If you guys have any 2 cents or anything you can provide in the comment section to maybe helping people get a job, and maybe you're a hiring manager watching this right now, maybe you can even comment down below that you're looking for someone for a particular skill and things like that. I'm all about community, right? Community is very important. Community is not emphasized out here in the West. I'm from the US. And so if I can, I want to start things like that. But give me your 2 cents on the matter and let me know what you think about this particular video and the current job situation right now in 2025.
Breaking, the CEO of Indeed has been fired. He's stepping down effective immediately, but you know what that means. He's been kicked to the curb effective immediately. And there are 2 main reasons why. First, Indeed's performance has been declining drastically along with the job market, with Indeed having to fire thousands of people mid last year. As the job market has gotten worse, Indeed has gotten worse, with job postings on Indeed down by double digits year over year. Indeed postings are so low that they're now at 2020 levels during the lockdown. And if companies aren't posting jobs on Indeed, Indeed makes less money. Usually companies pay Indeed to push their job postings, but with the job market being so competitive right now, they haven't been having to pay Indeed anything at all for people to apply in droves. So Indeed's financial results have suffered. Now, the CEO hinted at the other reason he's been fired in an open letter: AI. He said, quote, "Thanks to AI, the world of work is changing faster than ever, and the world needs Indeed to innovate faster than ever." So in other words, it looks like the board and founders didn't view him as innovating fast enough, and they're going to pivot to someone who can better manage the transition to AI. Indeed, for making AI your future instead of people, you just made the D3 list, a podcast about dumb, desperate, and diabolical business decisions.